This next segment, I just want to show you how to shape the wires for upper and lower 3 to 3 and upper and lower 4 to 4. I'll use a 14 Nai-Tai for both upper and lower, and also a 14 steel. For my Nai-Tai, if I'm going canine to canine, I'll just use something with a gentle curvature. This is a light wire. And these 014 wires are nice if you're just going canine to canine. If you just cut them at the midline, and now I can use this for 2 cases because I've got that appropriate curvature. And then you can simply measure the approximated length and just verify that length is somewhat close. This looks great. And I am just going to heat treat the ends of these with the nickel titanium wire with a lighter, which allows for me to put a permanent bend at the terminal end of the tooth, which I will just do a bend typically like that, so it's just going to be pointing away from the tongue, just for patient comfort, on each side. You can also bend a ring if you would prefer. If you have someone who tends to catch that, you can actually bend that into a full ring. But now we have our initial upper wire with some comfort bends for the patient's tongue. For the lower wire, with the nickel titanium, we'll use this template from GAC, and you can actually find out the arch length, and you're going to go to your final arch length. So if you have crowding, you're going to want to use a little bit longer arch. But this just at least gives you a good sense of which wire size is going to fit the best. And we just stock all of these different wire sizes in the clinic. And for this patient, it looks like the extra large wire is going to be the best fit. So you can see how there's a little bit of expansion built into that wire, which will help us resolve that crowding. Again, I'm going for the final position. And then same as on the maxillary arch, we will trim these ends. Which will then be heat treated. And in a similar fashion as we did on the maxillary arch, we will just put in a 90-degree bend towards the tooth, away from the tongue. So you can see there's the shape for the lower arch with the Nai-Tai. For the steel wires, this is going to be a 14 steel wire. I'll actually use one continuous arch wire and make multiple wires out of this. So you can imagine I'm going to use probably this much for the upper arch, a little more, and you can just kind of keep working your way around the mouth. I'll make a ring bend to start, because these wires can easily be flipped on the workspace. So you want to be able to delineate right side from left side. So I'll start off with this right side on the maxillary arch, making a ring. And then I will simply shape this wire to be the final arch shape that I want for the case. So if you're going to do some reshaping of a narrow arch form, you might choose a wider arch form for this canine to canine wire. You can just kind of hold it in place. So this looks like it's kind of a constricted arch, so I'll probably go with a little bit wider arch shape. And then once you get to the approximate shape that you would like, you'll simply measure the other end, clip it short, And typically I'll leave the wire in this state just so I know. I'll leave a little excess length on that left side before as I go to insert the wire. But then once the patient comes in, if you do the measurement, you can then do the L bend for the left side for patient comfort. And now I know I have a ring on the right side of the wire and an L on the left side of the wire, so it's still comfortable for the patient. But as this wire goes in, it'll also be able to tell me if I have the right or the left side. So example for 14 Naitai on the top and a 14 steel on the bottom. In a similar fashion, for a lower 4-4, we'll make the same start off point with the loop. And then I'm going to make this bend from the premolar to the canine. I'm going to move that facially. And I also want to put a vertical step in just because of the anatomy of the canine versus the anatomy of that premolar. Because you don't want the premolar to extrude. So you can kind of look from the side here and see how I've made that now pretty passive. And from the incisal portion, you can see how I've got that step in that will allow for that premolar to stay in its proper position. And then much like the top, you just create the arch shape that you want, the final arch shape that you're going to have the teeth positioned in. And as you get that shape approximated, you can grab that wire on the premolar side and do a similar bend, going gingivally and lingually this time from the canine to the premolar. And then again, just hold it in place, make sure you don't overexpand, and make sure you have a passive relationship between that canine and the premolar. And then I'll leave a lot of excess. I'll usually clip the wire and leave plenty of excess. So if I did make a mistake in my shaping, I can go back and just really quickly undo that bend and change the position a little bit. But let's assume I got that correct. As I go to deliver this bracket, this wire to the mouth, I'll clip that length appropriately and do the 90-degree bend towards the tooth. So you have 4-4 steel, 4-4 014 Naitai, and then a 3-3 upper Naitai, and then a 3-3 014 steel wire.